Deep in the Haitian night, a man stumbles through a sugarcane field, 18 years after doctors pronounced him dead and buried him. He has no memory, no will, and no name but the one whispered in fear by locals, zombie. This isn't folklore. It is a punishment, a process, a dark pharmacology designed to create a slave with no soul. The question is, how is it done? To understand the method, you must first understand the motive. The origins of this process lie not in magic, but in power. In the clandestine world of Haiti's Bizango societies, secret fraternities that have operated for centuries. They are the arbiters of local justice, a shadow authority enforcing social and moral codes in communities beyond the reach of the state. For those who commit unforgivable transgressions, theft, betrayal, or murder, death is considered too lenient. The ultimate punishment is the complete erasure of self, the condemnation to a living death, a body without a soul, a slave without recourse. This is the purpose of zombification. It is a social sanction, a terrifyingly effective instrument of control used to make an example of violators. The process is carried out by a bokor, a sorcerer who serves the Bizango, and it begins with a poison. The creation of the poison is a precise ritualistic act. It is a complex cocktail of ingredients known as the coup de poudre. The primary active component is derived from the pufferfish, a creature whose organs contain one of the most potent neurotoxins on Earth, tetrodotoxin. The bokor carefully prepares the fish, drying and crushing it to isolate the poison. To this is added the skin of a sea toad containing bufotoxins. These are not the only ingredients. The formula often includes ground lizards, tarantulas, and other poisonous flora and fauna. But the most psychologically devastating element is the inclusion of human bone, a piece of a recently deceased person ground into the powder. This addition is a symbolic act, binding the victim to the world of the dead before they have even left the world of the living. The delivery is subtle, insidious. The bokor does not need to force the victim to ingest it. The powder can be rubbed into an open wound. Or it can be sprinkled across the threshold of a victim's home, on a path they are known to walk, or even inside their shoes. The poison is absorbed through the skin, a catastrophic invasion that begins a slow, horrifying shutdown of the human body. The victim first feels a numbness in their lips and tongue. This sensation spreads, a cold paralysis creeping through the limbs. Their skin becomes clammy, their breathing grows shallow, their pulse almost imperceptible. Crucially, the mind remains lucid. The victim is a prisoner in their own body, conscious and aware as their biological functions cease one by one. They can hear their family weeping. They are declared dead by a doctor who, finding no heartbeat and no breath, signs the death certificate. They are prepared for burial, placed in a coffin, and lowered into the earth. This is the central horror of the process, the experience of being buried alive, the unimaginable terror of suffocating in darkness, fully aware but utterly unable to scream or move. Hours or sometimes a day later, the bokor returns. Under the cover of darkness, the grave is opened and the coffin is exhumed. The victim, now oxygen-deprived and deeply traumatized, is pulled from their own tomb. At this moment, Haitian belief holds that the bokor captures the victim's T-bone ange, or little good angel, the part of the soul connected to memory. This soul is placed in a small container, a ritualistic act that cements the bokor's control, but the process is not complete. The resurrected body is still just a paralyzed victim. To create the zombie, a second drug is required. The victim is forced to consume a paste made from a plant known colloquially as the zombie cucumber. Its scientific name is Datura stramonium. It is a powerful hallucinogen, a deliriant, and an amnesiac. It erases what little is left of the victim's memory, destroys their capacity for independent thought, and renders them highly suggestible. Like a patient in a permanent state of hypnotic delirium, the zombification is complete. The victim is given a new name and is often sold to a sugar plantation, where they will labor in the fields. They are mute, expressionless, compliant. They work without complaint from sunup to sundown, fed a diet of tasteless paste. They are kept in a state of perpetual psychological twilight by repeated doses of datura. They are the living dead. For decades, this process was dismissed by the outside world as a terrifying but ultimately fictional folk tale, until the case of Clairvius Narcisse. In 1962, Narcisse checked himself into a Haitian hospital with fever and body aches. His condition rapidly deteriorated. He was pronounced dead by 2 American-trained doctors and was buried in the local cemetery in front of his family. 18 years later, in 1980, a woman named Angelina Narcisse was at a village market when a man approached her. He knew her name. He used a childhood nickname for her that only her brother Clairvius would have known. It was him. His story was terrifying. He recounted the feeling of floating above his own body at his funeral, hearing his sister cry. He described the horror of being buried alive and then unearthed by a bokor. For 2 years he was enslaved on a remote sugar plantation. One day the bokor was killed by one of the zombies. With no one to administer the controlling drugs, the zombies simply wandered off. Narcisse, his mind slowly returning, drifted across Haiti for years, waiting for the brother he believed had sold him to the bokor to die. Only when he learned of his brother's death did he feel safe enough to return home. The case of Clairvius Narcisse provided the aha moment the world needed. It was the first verifiable account that dragged zombification out of folklore. The science behind the legend was finally illuminated. The poison was not magic, it was pharmacology. Tetrodotoxin from the pufferfish was the key. In sublethal doses, it is a perfect paralytic agent, creating a state that is indistinguishable from death. It shuts down the body's electrical signals without stopping brain function. The victim appears dead, but is not. The second part of the equation was datura stramonium. This wasn't a soul-stealing compound, but a powerful psychoactive drug. It effectively wiped the victim's mental slate clean. The combination of drugs and trauma was diabolical. Tetrodotoxin created the physical prisoner. Datura created the psychological one, shattering the person's identity. Of course, there was skepticism. Critics argued that the dosage of tetrodotoxin would be impossible for a bokor to control. Too little and the victim wouldn't appear dead. Too much, and they would actually die. But this inconsistency may be part of the system. Not every attempt works. The bokor only needs a success rate high enough to maintain the fear. The community's belief does the rest. The process is one part pharmacology and one part profound psychological warfare, refuting the idea of a simple magic spell. It reveals instead a terrifyingly advanced understanding of natural chemistry and human terror. Today, the legacy of the zombie is not in horror films, but codified in law. Article 246 of the Haitian Penal Code is explicit. It states that if a person is drugged into a lethargic coma and then buried, the act shall be considered attempted murder. If that person is exhumed and brought back, the act is considered murder, regardless of the outcome. The law is a stark admission. It confirms that this process is real, that it has happened, and that it is a crime. The zombie is a lingering cultural scar, a testament to a form of justice that predates the state. It is a warning that the deepest horrors are not supernatural, but are born from the ingenuity and cruelty of man. The fear of the zombie is the fear of losing oneself, a punishment that polices Haitian society far more effectively than any prison wall.